right. Thank you all for joining. We're going to spend 30 minutes bringing you up to date on some great new technology we have launched. If I haven't met you before, my name is Lonnie Kiefer. I'm one of the co-founders of SmartCert. I'm being joined by Krista Stevens, who's on the customer success and support team. We are going to be recording this, so if you did want to refer back to it or share with any of your team, you'll have a link to this tomorrow on YouTube. As far as the opportunity to ask questions, we certainly support that. There's a few different ways to send them our way. If you hover your mouse over the bottom of your screen, there is a chat which allows you to communicate with everyone in the webinar, or there's a Q&A option which allows you to send a direct message to Krista. We are going to save time at the end for questions, so feel free to send them ahead as you think of them, or join us in the last few minutes to discuss anything we can help with. All right, so for anyone who's not familiar with SmartCert, we are about to celebrate our 3-year anniversary, and the whole goal of the platform and the network is to cut down on paperwork, whether that is moving from paper to digital or just the steps it takes to manage your cert process. That's what our objectives are. So while many companies now are using paper, email, or portals, the idea is our shared network cuts down the steps between receiving, internally organizing, and sending certs to customers. We are closing out a pretty strong year of transformation. So many of our customers and users provide great feedback, which help us prioritize every single thing we want to do that lives on our roadmap. This was a year of some pretty major features. We have an amazing head of technology, Mark Mann, who has brought a lot of these requests to life. We started the year with the request feature, which allows you to request certs from your suppliers if they're missing or inaccurate. Again, sort of streamlining the way you're receiving certs, but also making it easier to communicate back and forth. We also launched SmartCert packages, which is a powerful way to not only organize cert packages easier and better for shipments, but it cuts down on the time it takes to prepare a cert package for a shipment. Now you could create a SmartCert for a single lot and reuse that same SmartCert as packages are put together, cutting down on the time it takes to throw all those certs together for your customer. We launched visibility when certs were sent and who received them. So not only providing stronger communication internally, but certainly being able to see customer interactions with your certs to assist again with any questions they may have. Our CFC template, we have some customers who have generated their own CFC, which they add to their SmartCerts. We have also created a SmartCert CFC that anyone can use and customize. Cert processing tools was a huge leap forward. When we think about receiving, organizing, and sending certs, having the tools to redact information, adjust cert packages, add an approval signature, all those are now available in your dashboard. The latest, and now what we'll be going over and demoing today, which we plan to launch by the end of the year, is to automatically create SmartCerts and the searchable keywords that create this powerful and searchable repository. All of this is available with free accounts. The idea being you have 50 SmartCerts to create to really help determine what your process looks like, what the experience is, and really test things out on your path to understanding that transition with your current workflow. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I have just a few slides to sort of tee up what this looks like, and then we will go ahead and demo out this live in the dashboard. Krista, confirming you can see my screen.
Yes, I can.
Perfect. All right. So new technology coming your way. For those of you, again, who may not be as familiar, as we are approaching our 3-year anniversary, that comes with some pretty impressive numbers. We have over 1,100 companies on the network sending, receiving, and organizing certs. That's almost 5,000 users. And we're getting close to that 1 million mark for SmartCerts created. We are supporting over a dozen industries. And a lot of the goals here are how can you internally improve? That's usually the main objective, is how do we take our current process, create more automation, digitize this, perhaps bypass the use of email to send and receive certs, certainly because email inboxes these days are fraught with peril. So if you're thinking of CMMC requirements, if you're thinking of ways to make this faster and easier, reduce hard costs. We have plenty of companies who participate who are paying for their subscription times 3, times 5, just the paper and toner savings. We have other companies who are just benefiting the most from the fact that their repository of certs is now searchable. If you're using clunky internal searching, I would even say, while I love Microsoft, SharePoint is pretty hard to locate documents. Having a powerful search bar to get to the information you need when you need it is a huge objective of ours, a great solution for our users. Compliance, continuous improvement, all of those, when you think about moving your business further, certainly adjusting to any labor shortage you might be dealing with, having to have your team do more with less time. We want to remove those manual tasks. The other great thing that SmartCert offers is more control over the parts of your cert process you've never had control over before. That may be receiving certs from vendors, but also what the experience is when your customers are sent certs. Are they lost? Is there challenges with communication between buyers where you do need to continue to resend the same cert package to different people? That's the beauty of the network, is the fact that not only do you have free unlimited users, but your customers do as well. They usually think that that's one of the greatest parts of the experience receiving certs on SmartCert. When we think about traceability, many in the aerospace industry are now thinking again about counterfeit parts and bad actors that are taking advantage of gaps in the supply chain. We are in some really exciting conversations with some of the major players and carriers in discussion about how SmartCert can help build stronger traceability and even validation of people and parts when we think about, again, bridging any gaps and creating a use of a lot of the common tools, databases, and approaches to really solve for the future when it comes to fake parts and some terrible humans. Moving into the technology and where we're going, the idea again being SmartCert doesn't have to overhaul your cert process if there are aspects of it that work well for you. This year really has provided the opportunity, if all you want to do is standardize your receiving process with your vendors, make it more easily accessible to your teams, make it searchable, have your documents live in the cloud again to check the box on your CMMC requirements, that's great. And SmartCert does a great job of doing that, especially with these new tools. If your goal is to internally organize to cut down on the steps to send certs to customers, we can check that box too. So it's a choose your own adventure. It's up to you on the goals that you have, areas of opportunity for improvement. This does not have to, again, take into account aspects of your process that work or are automated, the legacy systems you may have in place that do a good job internally, but we certainly want to help on that first and last mile when it comes to helping streamline workflows. As I mentioned, we have learned a lot from our customers, our super users, companies like WCL. If you've paid attention on SmartCert, they've been a great supporter of us, a great user, along with Parker Aerospace, Pilgrim, Beacon, Advanced, Century, Birmingham. We have a great number of companies that provide great feedback. And one of the things that we've learned is for those companies who aren't integrated into their ERP or QMS, we wanted to provide as much automation as we can. We're talking to testing companies who have just a few employees, smaller size companies that may not be able to take advantage of complete automation, but need the tools to work faster within their CERT process. These two new technologies that we're offering are going to be able to cut down on the steps of creating smart certs, whether it is just to build that repository for your vendor certs or build your inventory to manage internally and send to your customers. I was just on a panel discussion last week for the NFDA, and it was all about AI. And this is our use of AI in moving our platform forward. The idea being we're using now optical character recognition, OCR technology, which is going to read the first page of your document and create searchable keywords, so those SmartCert fields that will be dynamically generated based on the information in that cert package. No more filling in the fields of information in your SmartCert, and we're just adding even more searchable data to get to the certs you need when you need them. I will show you exactly how this works in just a minute. Finally, if you are in the trenches for 2024 planning, what does that look like for your digital transformation? We certainly would love to be a part of the conversation. We spend a lot of time with companies who are mapping out what their process looks like now, knowing that oftentimes there are areas of improvement, but also once you kind of map it out, you can also really quickly see areas of inefficiency and certainly ways to streamline your process in the new year. We are happy to be part of that conversation, having onboarded countless companies and had lots of process discussions. If you would like to include us in the conversation to see if and where SmartCert fits in, we're happy to do that. So feel free to reach out to us to set up that time. I'm actually going to stop sharing and move into my next portion, which is not this. This is your SmartCert dashboard. So if you do not yet have a free account, we have a powerful shared dashboard centralized to your team. This is where the magic happens and where that search bar and searchable data come in handy. We're going to spend a few minutes talking about how we build this, but you can see from your company account, unique and specific to you and your users, as SmartCerts get created, whether that's from an API automation from your ERP, or you do have manual users creating SmartCerts, this certainly becomes an outline of the activity your team is taking on a daily basis, as well as the certs that are compiled for you and your customers. I talked about cert packages. This is one example of being able to reference a customer's PO. It includes smart certs for each of the lots. If you wanted to add in a packing list here or CFC or any customer specific documents, you could add that to the package. These would stay unique to the lot themselves. So ideally, I could resend this same lot to every customer who ordered against the inventory. Great way, again, to not only organize your information on shipments on your created dashboard, but also a great way for your customers to receive certs. All the information you see on the dashboard is searchable. So when we talk about creating dynamic new searchable keywords based on reading the documents, you can quickly appreciate what this search bar does that a lot of companies are challenged with using other methods for saving documents. From an email perspective, I'm going to go ahead and send an email. This again will be live and available to every single company account on the network. Regardless of which email program you use, we're going to be providing everyone a universal email address to use. And that means that if your email is registered as a user in a company account, this functionality will be available to you if you have that writer permission and you are enabled to be able to create SmartCerts. These are just the fast track way to do it. I'm going to go ahead and type in this is our test data. I'm going to be actually showing this on just our demo environment. Subject line will become searchable information. So if you did want to, again, to reference this, to refer back in your email, or just reference this based on the documents you're sending, you can enter information in the subject line. I'm going to go ahead and select a document. The thing about email is when you go in and decide which emails are being sent in an email, one email equals one SmartCert. So if you are sending an MTR with cert processing, any multiple documents that represent one lot would all be included in one email. For the purpose of this, I'm just going to select this C of C. If I did want to reference maybe the number within the subject line, I can, but not required. I'm going to go ahead and send this. One other thing to note is what's ever included in the body of the email will not be added to the SmartCert. So if you're forwarding an email from a vendor, if we are monitoring an email address from that your vendors are sending certs in, if there's great communication about your Thanksgiving feast, all of that stuff will not be added to the SmartCert. We're just going to be reading the first page of the document and then also storing the subject line. So I'm going to send that. Going back here to the dashboard while that processes, it's a little bit slower for us in the demo environment, but one thing to keep in mind is we do virus scan every document that gets added or uploaded. So that will take a little bit of time as well as processing the email to turn it into a SmartCert. While we wait, we'll talk a little bit about this new tool that will be added live to your dashboard as our holiday gift to you. The import is going to represent every email that gets sent from your team to SmartCert, as well as all of the documents that have been added via this drag and drop feature. This will, again, like your request dashboard, we can enable some filters so you could just see what's been done today or by whom. But the idea is this becomes sort of that informational page on what's been added, who added it, and when it was added. From a drag and drop perspective, just like in SmartCert, there's a few different ways to make that happen. I'm going to pull up my certs. Let's just say that for whatever reason, these are all the certs I received today from my vendors. The idea would be we'd certainly like to bypass you having to save these locally, but for the purpose of this example, I may want to add in all of these certs. The thing to remember now with the drag and drop feature is it's the exact opposite of the email. One email represents one SmartCert, but one document in this example represents one SmartCert. So if I wanted a separate SmartCert for each of these documents, I could drag them over and you can see they'll start to process. I also have the ability to use the click to add, which is another feature, but very quickly, my screen has just started processing a bunch of documents. If you were to open up this field, could you essentially drag and drop or select thousands of documents? You could. The idea then being you're not going to want to close out of this screen, your browser, because it would cancel out that processing. So you could do other things, but keep your browser open. Things will start processing here. And as SmartCerts get created, you'll see this references the document that has been uploaded and the SmartCert it created. If you're familiar with SmartCert, you'll already start to see that some of these fields are brand new. Again, created based on the information in the document itself. I have a watermark on my document, which you wouldn't see in yours, so that evaluation purposes note can be disregarded. But the idea is I have just read, SmartCert has just read through this document. I'll scan in a little bit, zoom in there, has read any pairs of information. So it's looking for things like a lot number and the number. Pairs is essential here. And sometimes documents aren't organized exactly the way to make this as easy as it is. But the idea being it's going to grab what it can. We are not eliminating people at this stage, but we're trying to reduce the manual task of creating a SmartCert. As you're reviewing this information, you can double check within the document to make sure the information is included and accurate. I just searched for that heat number that I see here. A quick way again to reference this. We have seen this technology even read handwritten notes on a document. But let's be honest, we know there's a lot of greasy paperwork out there. So it's only going to be as good as the documents it provides. But the idea is I now have a lot more searchable information to be able to pull up and refer to this cert package without having to enter any of it. My time was the drag and drop. I now can make adjustments to this information. Let's just say that there's information included in here that I don't necessarily need to be searchable. You can delete it, maybe the number of pieces or the ship weight. Once you delete it from the fields, it will delete that keyword and reference. But I think personally that it's great to have this information call out, because what's really important for you in referring to a cert package is probably the information it's collecting. So this information then becomes the searchable data you'll be using internally in reference to your vendor certs, or if you are sending certs to customers, this becomes their searchable data as well. You still are able to continue with our cert processing tools, even as you're manually uploading. If you wanted to adjust this document, let's say you wanted to add a page to it, you add a cover letter. If you need to redact information within a document, if you want to digitally approve and sign your document because it's been verified and confirmed and then added to SmartCert, that's what our cert processing tools are here for. And if you did want a training on those, feel free to reach out. A lot of power here in just being able to review information, adjust pages, landscape, vertical, move pages around. And again, the redaction, the approval, and all of those steps. You can see that I now have created a SmartCert for every single one of these documents. Again, I can view the details here along with the document, or better yet, we could go on to the created dashboard and you can see not only every one of those documents, here's the email that I had sent over. Again, with searchable data that aligns with this document right here. I'll zoom in a little bit. And here is, so let's say that I'm in this example and we're just using some sample certs. I am McMaster-Carr. If I did want to get rid of customer specific information, because this is now going to my customers, I can go ahead and adjust what I need to within this and my cert package, save it, and we are good to very quickly and easy build your inventory with the searchable data that you and your team need. All right. I talked very fast, but I think I covered everything that I need to. Krista, do we have any questions?
Yes. Let's start with what if a company wants to front load all of their inventory?
So I showed you how you could essentially move thousands of documents in at once. We are always trying to help people hit the ground running. So when we think about, well, I want to go back 2 years, that can be separate from your subscription. It's something we don't necessarily charge a whole lot of money for. We do pay for obviously the technology that's reading the documents, but I think it's $100 for up to 10,000 smart certs. So we have companies who have gone all the way back to 2004 just to centralize all of their certs in one place. We can help you get set up again so that you have everything you need that lives in the past that may still be sent to customers and that you certainly want reference to.
Great. And then I think you had mentioned this, but what if a company is currently using an email address and all of their suppliers are sending their certs to that specific email?
Yes, so we do have the ability to monitor an email address. Let's say that you have certs at fastenercompany.com. We can set up monitoring to turn every one of those emails that you're receiving from your suppliers into SmartCerts. It'll be able to reference the supplier who sent it, attach each of the documents, and also reference the subject line. So if that is of interest to you, because of the fact that you already have a system in place for receiving digital certs, we're happy to accommodate that as well. Good questions.
Any
Any
other
other?
questions? Oh,
Again, we'll provide a link to this. I know I moved really quickly. We think 30 minutes is plenty of time to take from your day, but all this will be available to you. We'll make an announcement. You'll get an email from us. You'll see a promotion of it on LinkedIn. If there are questions or if you would like to have a discussion with your team about where this fits in, we're happy to participate in those discussions, as I mentioned. So let us know how we can support you in your 2024 goals for streamlining your CERT process. If there's no questions, we are happy to thank you for your time. Look forward to the opportunity to work with you if we aren't already, and wish you happy holidays.
Great.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.